Hi, everyone. Welcome. Happy Friday. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy World Sleep Day. It's everything tonight. And I'm so happy to be here with all of you guys. I'm going to be pulling up my post right now so I can see all your happy faces and all your lovely names. Hold on one second while I do that. How are you guys? So happy to be here with you tonight. And we have such a special show planned for everybody. Just going to give it a minute. Hi, there you are, jumping on. Hi. Hold on. I am just trying to manage all the different things here on my screen. Lots of stuff going on. Hi, guys. There's everybody. Hi. Yeah, so tonight we have a very wonderful show planned for you. I'm super excited to see all of you guys, and I have a wonderful guest that I'm going to be bringing on in just a few minutes. And today is Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm wearing my green today. This was as close as I could get to a green shirt. So I'm wearing green for St. Patrick's Day. And today is also World Sleep Day, which is a day that acknowledges the importance, the very important thing in our life, which is sleep. That many of us right now, I know so many of you that are feeling like, yes, what is that thing again? Sleep. Oh yeah, I remember that sometime, long time ago. But it's just something that we really want to celebrate tonight and to bring you great information. So you guys have been fantastic posting your questions and RSVPing, and so many of you guys responded to putting up the events that you asked me to do. So did you guys all like having the events up? Yeah, you can see all the great streams that are coming up, the shows that are coming up this week. Lots of them, lots of great things. So I see Naturepedic here in the room. Hi, is that Rachel? I think it's Rachel from Naturepedic. I'm not sure who's on tonight, but thank you for being here. Naturepedic is our fabulous, fabulous partner. One of the longest partners I've had. It's been years that we've been together, working together. They are one of my favorite brands, and I'm just so honored to celebrate World Sleep Day here with them and with you, and have them partner with us tonight. Amazing prizes, some great announcements I'm going to be making. We're going to save that for a little bit later on tonight in the show, but we have some really great prizes. I want to bring Joe over to say hi because Joe's here with me. Sometimes you guys don't know who Joe is. We have a lot of new people, and I want you to know. Here's Joe.
Hey, everyone.
So Joe's my husband. Joe's my partner, my business partner. We run our company together, and we also run these live streams together. I'm on the front end. He's on the back end. And when you see me typing and my name showing up, I'm not that talented. It's actually him. So
she is. She's got 8 arms.
I got 8 arms. That's true.
Have fun.
So Joe be over there.
Philippines.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So first of all, we had a lot of new people join our page over the last couple of weeks. I mean, just crazy. We are about to hit 50,000. I'm super, super excited. We're going to have to do something special. I think it's going to happen this weekend. We'll see. But we have all great new people. Can everybody just kind of do a little roll call? Tell me where you're from, because I noticed there's like a lot of people from all over the world joining in for these conversations. And we have such an amazing community. And now we get to welcome all of the new people in, and we just love to welcome new people. So I want to hear where you're from. If you're new, please shout it out. I'm a newbie. I'm new here, so we can all welcome you and say hi. All right? Fantastic. Tonight is episode 92. 92, okay? My Baby Experts has been around since 2010. We've been streaming excellent content. Some of you guys, I know, I see you, have been here since the beginning. Some of you are new tonight, but tonight is episode 92 of our program. And hi, Shai. Hi, Galit. Okay, so I see some good friends in the house tonight, and what I want to do is I also have a really good friend that is waiting in the wings right now that I want to bring on and get our night started, okay? I have very special expert, Rebecca Miki, the children's sleep consultant here with us, okay? She is an expert sleep consultant, and we are going to be going over sleep, myths and facts with you tonight, all right? Every kind of myth and fact you can imagine, and there's so much to talk about. So I want to get started. Let me go ahead and bring her on. So hold on, bear with me, everyone. Let's see, where am I? And there is Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I am so excited to have you here. We met a couple months ago in Las Vegas. And ever since
Obviously.
then, I've been thinking about you and thinking we need to get together. We need to work together and do something. And this was the perfect night, World Sleep Day.
Totally, yeah, perfect night for it.
Totally. We were chatting a little bit before we went live, and we've just been laughing for the last half an hour. So if everybody just don't mind us if we start to giggle, because we're just going to pick up where we left off. I'm sure. But Rebecca, can you just first of all, let's all get some hearts for Rebecca. Thank Rebecca and Naturepedic for making this night possible with me tonight. So we'll get some hearts going across the screen. We will love to see all the hearts. That's one of the rules here on the My Baby Experts live streams, is that every time we offer, everybody offers love. So we're offering love in our words, in our experience, and in our education and all the content. And then everybody else gets to show their love back by giving the hearts and letting that float across the screen, because they know that keeps me talking. When I see the heart, Joe said more love, more sleep tips. Okay, you want more sleep tips? You give more love. Okay, that is the rule. That is the rule. Okay, and if you forget, I will remind you to give more hearts. But Rebecca, I'm going to turn to you for a moment and just, I'd love for you to introduce yourself to my audience. Tell them about yourself and your background and whatever else you would like to share.
Yeah. So I'm Rebecca Mickey. I am a children's sleep consultant and author. I'm actually based in Seattle, though obviously not a local. I moved from the UK, moved around quite a bit, and then ended up in Seattle about 10 years ago. And I work with families who have children under 6 years old. I'm a gentle, no-cry sleep consultant. So I'm not advising families to leave their children to cry it out. It's a much more hands-on, gentler way that I work with families. And I've been working with families for just under 10 years. Though my background is in child development, I've been working with families in different capacities for far too many years to name. But I've been working with sleep for nearly 10 years, just one-on-one with families, within small groups and online.
Yes. Awesome. So you are the lady to ask for all these questions. And, I love what you said too, that it's a no cry, that there are different philosophies about sleep. And so much of what we're going to go over tonight, you're going to hear things that you might say, okay, that resonates for me. And then there's going to be things that you may say, okay, no, that's not how I did it. The point is that it can be different for different people. And so when we listen to experts, and I know that's the same thing for me when I talk about breastfeeding or I talk about childbirth or pregnancy, it's not everybody's choice to do everything the same way. And so I give my perspective, everybody receives it as one person, one expert's opinion, and then you move on from there. But that actually brings up the first myth, Rebecca. And the myth that I want to say is experts and experienced mothers know more about your baby than you.
Because
I think that most people do think that as first-time moms or even second-time moms.
Yes.
You've got to know better than I do.
Totally, because when we go into motherhood and parenthood, we kind of agree. We're not experts in this. We're really not. And so it can be really, really tough. And so you are looking to other people for advice and help. And that's just natural. That's just, us as human beings, that's what we look for. But you have to remember that you are the expert in your child. You are with them so much more than anybody else is. And as well, we have so many, what is normal is such a broad range. It's not just, we don't ever expect infants to start doing anything at any given time. We have a big window, whether that's sitting, rolling, holding the head up. There's such a big window, and so there is no real definite date or anything that you need to be looking for. And you are the expert in your child more than anybody, and trust your instinct. I think it's really important that as mothers that we do trust our instinct. This has helped the human race survive, our mothering instinct. And it's really hard when you're being bombarded with so much information and contradictory advice that you really want to just trust your instinct. You know your child, you know your family better than anybody else on the planet.
Absolutely. And, we were talking about this the other day that, when our children are about the same age and when we had our babies, there was no internet. My daughters are 15 and almost 13. And just that few years ago, there was no internet to turn to. Believe it or not, guys, there really wasn't. And so, and I know it's hard to imagine now parenting without the internet, but you would think in some ways it's much better because look, we're here tonight. Look what we get to do live. We got people all over the world tonight, literally all over the world, joining into this conversation, supporting each other, listening to us and our advice. But at the same time, it can be overwhelming with information too, where you start to question that instinct that Rebecca is talking about, which is that voice inside that's saying this doesn't feel right, or this feels good, or does. That is your instinct, and it's innate with us as mothers. Even if you think I know nothing, I'm a first-time mom, I don't know anything. Like Rebecca said, this is how our species has survived. This is what the other animals do. We are the same. We have those instincts. We know there is knowledge inside of us that is born with us and then gets born again when your baby is born. And those things come out. So I love that. I love that. Follow your instincts, and same advice we give for birth, for pregnancy, all of it. It all relates.
Totally. It really, really does. Yeah, it really does. And that could be with anything. It's not just to do with breastfeeding or to do with sleep. It's to do with anything. You'll know it even when it goes to your children going to school and to preschool and when they're starting things. You even know then when something's feeling a bit, I always say if you're beginning to feel icky inside, that's when you need to change something. Because if you're feeling like, oh dear, no, this isn't right, you're not doing the right thing. You need to stop what you're doing, and you need to just evaluate, okay, what feels good, because this isn't feeling good. So what feels good, what feels better?
Have you guys all felt that? You know what she's talking about, that inner feeling inside that it doesn't really feel right. Whatever it is that you're doing with your child doesn't feel right to you. Go ahead and post into the chat here. Let us know if you've had that experience, because I know I have so many times, and sometimes it's been in relation to something that I've seen other parents doing with their children, or something that I've read as, the expert's opinion about it did not feel normal to, or there's actually been many times where I was seeing different doctors that I thought that doesn't sound right. And they're supposed to be the expert. And still I followed my own instincts and my gut and switched doctors, switched pediatricians several times before we found the one we love. And I think that's really important. Is it's not that all experts, you want to find the one that sounds good to you. This was something we discussed, about even on the internet. So many moms will follow Rebecca. So many moms will follow me. And they know that they've got one trusted advisor, one trusted expert that really resonates with their philosophy about parenting, about health, about whatever it is we're talking about. And it makes it a lot easier to then focus in on that education versus lots and lots of different opinions.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise on the internet, and you may read one topic on sleep. How do I wean my child from the swaddle? And you just search for that. There'll be so many different pages that come up, and you could read for days and days on end, and everything is contradictory. And you just there are going to be people who you resonate more towards, and those are the people I think you want to be sticking with, because the chances are, if you're liking the way that they're offering breastfeeding advice or sleep advice or introducing solids, if you're liking the way that they're doing that, you're going to like other things. You're going to like the other things they have to say. So stick with them, because they're that that you liking what they're saying, you resonate with them, and so stick with. Don't get too bombarded. It's just a lot of noise out there, and that's when we start doubting our instinct. Is because we're thinking about this is what I feel, but this person who is, this is a world-renowned expert, says I shouldn't be feeling this. Yes. And I hear this all the time with Cry It Out. This is where I'm hearing it daily from families who are pediatricians are suggesting that people leave their children to cry it out, even from as young as 6 weeks of age. Wow. Some pediatricians are suggesting this, and it's just not sitting right with families. It's just not sitting right with them. And so they're getting confused because their pediatrician is suggesting this, but it's just not comfortable for them. So they're looking for advice that sits a little better with them and doesn't make them feel so uncomfortable inside.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, great. Well, that's a great place for us to start and start talking about some of the sleep tips and stuff. But before that, I want to just talk about the prize that we have tonight because we have an amazing prize from Naturepedic. They were so generous. So I asked them, what kind of prizes do you want to give away tonight? And they have we have two prizes tonight. Now you need to be here in the chat to win these. Okay. So I want to see you posting throughout the chat. You're going to post, from now and you'll post later, but you need to be here tonight to win. So we're going to be picking live people here in the chat. We'll be announcing it tomorrow. But we are giving away 2 sets of their organic PLA pillows. Okay. These are amazing. So I have these in my house. These are ones that we actually use. I love these. They're completely 100% organic cotton with a non-toxic PLA fill inside of here that keeps its shape and form. They're machine washable. There's no toxins. And, we've talked about in the past the different chemicals that are in pillows, in mattresses, the flame retardants that actually off gas. And your baby does breathe that in, and so do you when you're sleeping on them. So tonight we have 2 winners, and each winner is going to win 2 adult size and 1 toddler. So it's a set for the whole family, which was so wonderfully generous of Naturepedic. We love them. And so 2 of these adult size PLA pillows, organic pillows, and 1 toddler size. I actually have a picture of the toddler. I'm going to show you my skills here of how I can share a screen. Hold on a second. I shouldn't say that. Then I'll screw it up. Hold on. Okay, so there. Okay, there's the pillow. All right, that is the toddler pillow right there. Okay, and it's just a smaller size. It's meant for a toddler. This is not for babies. These are for toddlers. And then you know that your baby's sleeping on something very safe that has no harmful chemicals inside of it. That's what we love about Naturepedic, is it helps us to we can trust that what's inside their products is safe for our families, for our children. So thank you very much. Okay, big hearts. We need lots of hearts. Okay, they got lots of prizes for you, so we need lots of hearts to come across, and you need to be in the chat room tonight in order to win one of the sets. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, everybody's loving it. Everybody's loving it. Okay, so now let's move back on to our myths and facts. So the next one that we came up with, and Rebecca and I, we kind of went through this together, and what we did was we saw all the questions that were coming in, plus the questions that you get on a daily basis, that I get on a daily basis too, and sort of put together around all those questions a more general answer so that it answers all of your questions. So you should fall somewhere within the answers here if you've asked a question. The next one was fact. Bedtime routines work.
Yes. True.
Yeah, true. It's a fact.
Yes, bedtime routines do work. They're really, really great. They're very, very helpful, actually. The reason that we want to have a bedtime routine, and the chances are you are already doing it. Most families are already doing bedtime routines. You probably have a bedtime routine that you're doing as well. I know that I do. But we want to have a bedtime routine. Couple of reasons we want the bedtime routine. One of them is a routine is predictable. That's the whole, the routine is where we're doing the same things in the same order. Yes. That makes things predictable, and that to a child is relaxing. Predictability is relaxing because they know exactly what's going to be coming next, exactly what's going to come after that. So that's very relaxing. Obviously, the more relaxed a child is, the easier time they're going to have sleeping. Mm-hmm. But as well, when you start going through your routine, again, that predictability, that consistency, the brain then knows that sleep is coming. And so it's beginning to get ready to fall asleep before you've even started helping your child to fall asleep. So it means that they're going to have an easier time falling asleep because the brain's already doing it. When you actually then finish your routine up, you then are going to either rock your child to sleep, feed them to sleep, pop them down into their bed. Right. The brain's already doing what it needs to do, so they're going to have an easier time falling asleep. So yes, I totally suggest having a bedtime routine from about 12 weeks of age, I think. And a lot of people are introducing it beforehand, and certainly can. But if you've not, around 12 weeks, I think is a really good age to introduce a nighttime routine.
Yes, fantastic. That's my bedtime routine. As soon as I get late, sit down on the couch, my brain starts to say, it's time to sleep. That's my bedtime routine.
Go to sleep.
I stop working and sit down to watch TV, and there you go. Right, Joe? He says, don't even sit down. Just go. Just because I'll be asleep in 2 minutes. Can you all relate to that? I know you can. I know you can. It doesn't end when they become not babies anymore. Trust me. Just on. It gets harder. I hate to tell you, but they do sleep. They sleep a lot.
They do sleep, yeah, and you don't need to be so involved in that routine either. They can they're a little bit more independent with it.
They have their own bedtime routines now. Now it's just getting them up. It's not about getting.
Oh yeah, it all changes. It all changes.
Yes, exactly. Okay, next, the myth that we came up with was all babies sleep the same way.
No, they do not. No. And no two humans will sleep exactly the same way. So you probably sleep very differently than I. And I can already tell that's the case. You're falling asleep on the couch. I cannot fall asleep on the couch for the life of me. I have to be in bed before I can fall asleep. So everybody's completely different when it comes to sleep. And then their children are exactly the same. So yes, so some children seem to be born sleepers, don't they? You hear about these anomalies, these children who are sleeping through the night at like crazy 6 weeks or something crazy like that. There's other children who are not sleeping through the night until they're over 12 months old.
Right.
And both of those are normal. Both of those are completely normal. And so I think one thing that's really important is remembering when you're parenting, normal is just a setting on the dryer. And it really is, because there is no normal. We all have our own unique temperament and our own unique personality. We all have our own unique family, our own unique family setup. And so every child has their own individual sleep requirement, as the same way every adult does as well.
Yes, yes. No, it makes so much sense, because you'll hear people talking about, one baby sleeping through the night, and then immediately what happens to mom and dad? They think there's something wrong with them. They think there's, the babies, either there's something wrong with the baby, or they're not making enough milk. Like, they'll start to look for reasons that there's something wrong, just in comparison to maybe their first child. I see this a lot, not only will you see it from family to family, but within one family, our children are different. And I always notice that with second children, and I don't know if this is your experience too, but first time moms and dads will kind of accept many things as just the way a baby is. And then when the second baby comes along and the baby's not doing the same thing as the first baby, there's something wrong. And it takes time to realize, like, they're really different. Even the pregnancies can be different. The births can be different. The baby will be totally different from day one. And it's only in hindsight, when you look back and you look at them like my children's age now, or, even younger, you say, well, of course they are different. They're so totally different people. Their temperament, their behaviors, their attitudes, their personalities are different. And that is there from the very beginning. So it's
very evident. Yeah, from birth. Very evident. Yes. Temperament plays a really huge part in how children sleep. Studies show that children who have a more intense or spirited temperament, one, they need less sleep. They need less sleep per 24 hours, but they also struggle more with sleep, and they need much more help learning to sleep a little bit more independently. So these are the families I'm working with who have children who have this more intense, this more spirited temperament. And that's my eldest daughter. She's 13 now. She's still super intense, super spirited, because we can't change our temperament. And so with a 13-year-old, we have very different issues than we did when she was an infant. But my youngest, who's just over a year younger, more laid back, easygoing, sleep was just super easy for her, and still is. Yeah. Very easy. She needs much more sleep than my eldest did.
Yeah. So interesting. They're so different right from the beginning, so it is important. And sleep is just one of those natural, it's a bodily function. It's a way that we are. It relies on our physiology. It relies on our personality. Everything plays into it. Our brains play into how we sleep. It's just the same as every other function of our body. So you can see this. Absolutely. Okay, let's get some hearts going across the screen. Rebecca's really given us some great tips here and great information. So let's see some hearts floating across, lots and lots of love. And let's move on to the next one. This one is a fact, Rebecca, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The better your baby sleeps in the day, the better they sleep in the night.
Yes. Yes, they do. This is totally true.
It's a complete myth that keeping your baby awake at night helps your baby sleep better. I mean, keeping your baby awake during the day will help your baby sleep at night.
No, it'll have the exact opposite effect. And it just sort of, when you think about it, well, the more tired I am, the easier time I have falling asleep and remaining asleep. And yes, that's maybe the case for you and for me as adults.
Yes.
But for children, no, most certainly not. The better the naps that we can get, the better nighttime sleep we'll get. Children do the exact opposite to us. When we get tired, we physically and mentally slow down.
Right.
Children don't do that. And you'll know with a toddler they get overtired. It's like you gave them 4 espresso shots and 2 tablespoons of sugar. They just suddenly get all this energy again. And you just think, wow, I thought you were asleep. I thought you were tired. And now you're bouncing off the walls. What happened?
Yes.
You just get this second wind, this real big burst of energy. Yes. And then once they get to that point, it's kind of game over because you're not getting your child down to sleep anytime soon. And it's just, they just deal with it actually very differently than we do with sleep deprivation and tiredness. So getting the best possible sleep that we can during the day is actually going to help us with our nighttime sleep. Now, this gets a little bit tricky because if you read a lot of sleep books, and there are so many different sleep books out there, but the different sleep books, a lot of them will say that when we're talking about children who are under 6 months old, and they may say, at around 10, 12 weeks, your child should be napping for an hour and a half. Well, that's very frustrating because, one, your child didn't read the book. They weren't aware that they had to be napping for an hour and a half. And another, naps have not even begun to develop. Naps don't begin to develop until the child is between 4 and 6 months of age, and they develop individually. So anything before they begin to develop is going to be short. So short naps, and this is what makes life then tough, because if a child is only napping for 30 or 45 minutes, we need so many naps a day to keep this napping, good naps during the day that are then going to help with nighttime.
Yes.
Don't try and stay home. Really, don't try and stay home for all those naps because you would never ever go out.
You'll never leave the house.
And so yes, your child can sleep in the carrier or the stroller or the car seat. That's okay. But we don't necessarily want that happening for the majority of the time because the sleep will be better. It will be better quality at home.
Yep. Yeah. One of the things that I usually recommend also is that if you're getting those naps and it seems to be working, there's nothing you need to change. Again, if things are working well, then you've already figured out the magic sauce for yourself. Okay. And whatever's working is fine. It's for the moms and dads who call or write to me and say, my baby just won't sleep at night. And then I start to question about what kind of naps are they getting? Yes, they sleep, but we've got the TV on. My mom told me to make sure there's lots of noise. So the baby gets used to lots of noise while they're sleeping. And what I found is that there are many babies that when they're stimulated, even during sleep during the day, so they're they're being held, they're not being put down, they're constantly being passed around, or there's people talking, or there's TVs on, or things happening. Some babies will not get that into that deep enough sleep to really support them for the nighttime sleep, and they'll still exhibit the same signs of being overtired and overstimulated as a baby that didn't get enough sleep. Even though they got their eyes closed, they're still taking it in. Their brain is still being stimulated in a way where they're not getting good rest. And for those babies, I mean, personally, and I don't know if you agree with this, but putting them into a darker environment, either swaddled or, something, white noise, ways to keep the baby in more of a womb-like environment where they can sleep, better temperature of the room. All those things will help to let the baby's brain rest in a way that will make them less overtired.
Yes, I totally agree. The darkness, the white noise, I think are really, really important, especially that swaddle as well with infants.
Yes. Yeah, it's great. Okay, so some hearts going across here, hearts going across the screen. I want to see the love. We've given you some good information. Are you guys enjoying this? Are you enjoying this information? Is this helping you? I want to see some comments here letting us know. Okay, I'm going to talk about something right now, special for World Sleep Day. Okay, Naturepedic announced today they have an enormous giveaway that just started today, and I literally, unfortunately, I am not eligible for this giveaway because I'm partnered with them. But if I could, I would enter. So you guys should all go enter right away. Joe's going to put up a link, okay, because they're giving away one of their EOS classic mattresses, and we're talking like the regular parent size. Okay, these are amazing. Okay, completely organic, non-toxin, no pesticides, no flame retardants. Made here in the United States, fully crafted. I'm actually going to show you a short video right now about the Naturepedic mattresses, because if you have not seen this, first of all, you guys need to be looking at this for your babies. Okay, so not everybody can get the full-size mattresses, but here you get a chance to win one. This is the link Joe just put up right there. What is the WSD giveaway? Okay, that's the World Sleep Day giveaway. You just don't do it now, don't leave, okay? But afterwards, it's going on for a couple days, I think till the end of the month. Don't quote me on that. It's on their page. But I'm going to show you a short video about Naturepedic because it's really for everyone. Lots of people think it's just for babies, and that's not exactly true. So hang on while I start the video, and then we'll be back, okay? Hold on a second. Let's see here. First of all, let me get this into the right mode. Okay.
We became a Naturepedic family 7 years ago after purchasing a crib mattress for our first daughter.
And we were so pleased with that mattress that after our second daughter was born and they transitioned to bunk beds, we got Naturepedic mattresses for those beds as well. And then we realized we deserve a healthy, natural sleep too, so we got a Naturepedic mattress for our bed. We did a lot of research before purchasing our mattress, and we just couldn't believe how many controversial chemicals and flame retardants were being used. We were shocked.
After all, they spend a lot of time in bed with us, and you can't put a price tag on healthy sleep.
From the moment my alarm goes off, my day is non-stop. Try to get a workout in before the office, and then my day is full of meetings. In the evenings, dinners, a show, a yoga class. It never ends. Oh, and I'm planning my wedding. So it's a lot. My life is really busy. I don't have time for a bad night's sleep, and that's why I got a Naturepedic mattress. It is the most comfortable thing I have ever slept on. I'm never sore, no tossing and turning. It's exactly what I needed in my life. I recommend Naturepedic to all of my friends.
We're living life on our own terms now.
Life is better than ever. I have more time in my garden.
And I have more time for golf. Did years bring on some aches and pains? Absolutely.
But you've got control over that too. Our Naturepedic mattress made all the difference.
And we've had plenty of mattresses over our lives, so believe me, I know.
I think the breathability is my favorite feature.
I don't get hot and sweaty at night anymore like I did with our last mattress.
We love our Naturepedic so much, we bought them for the kids.
And our grandkids too.
We would recommend Naturepedic to anyone serious about getting a good night's sleep.
Okay, I think we're back. I don't see us muted here, so I think we are good. I think I got it. All right. Yes. Hi. Okay. Good. Hopefully they're not going to all say, we can't hear you. Sometimes when I have the video playing, it shuts off our audio, but I think we're good. Such a great video. I loved it just to see all the different people who, can use non-toxic products like that. And it's not just about our babies, but sometimes we have our children in bed with us. There's different reasons to make sure that we're sleeping on something safe. So you guys get a really great opportunity. I'm glad that I got to show you that while you have a chance to win. So go over to the link that Joe posted there to win your EOS mattress. Amazing, right? Amazing giveaway. Amazing.
Totally. Yeah. Wow.
Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? Yeah, and go over to Naturepedic and read more about it, because I am not doing it justice to give the full description. You need to read about how wonderful these are. Anyway, let's get back to sleep for their babies, because they're going, okay, tell us more. The next myth on our list, okay, is solid food. Solid food makes my baby sleep through the night.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Wrong.
Yeah, no. I wish. If only it was that simple. Yeah, no, unfortunately it doesn't. And we probably hear this from like a really young age, that you would have heard that maybe rice cereal will actually help my child sleep through the night, or topping off with formula is another thing that maybe that's going to help my child sleeping through the night. Or maybe then when we've properly introduced solid foods, that's going to help my child sleep through the night. And it's just like, no. It's not actually going to help whatsoever. Right. Rice cereal can actually have the exact opposite effect, especially if you introduce it too young. No one should be feeding
rice cereal, period. Rice cereal shouldn't be part of their diet. So I'm going to just nix that one completely.
Yeah, and it's not particularly pleasant stuff. And you're mixing it with milk. There is no sort of calories in it. It's just kind of empty. And so it's just basically thicker milk that is going to digest at the exact same speed. So it's not going to keep your child fuller for longer. No. So no, that's not it. Solid food does not help. And in fact, it can have the exact opposite effect, because now if your child is having to digest food, yes, that can cause all sorts of tummy pains and gas pains and discomfort. Yes. And obviously, if your child's uncomfortable, they're not sleeping great.
Yep, absolutely. That brings up a point that's not part of one of our myths or facts, but it kind of goes along here. When it comes to, you're nursing in the middle of the night, or you're feeding in the middle of the night, and that moment where the baby starts to fall asleep at the breast, and you think, okay, I'm just going to very gently lay the baby back down, and I'm going to skip right over the burp. Okay. And everyone here knows that I'm a burp fanatic. Okay. That babies do need to be burped, or you need to help them get those little air bubbles out. Have you guys all seen my burping video? You've all seen my burping video that's on. And if you haven't, maybe Joe can post it for us. Joe's going to play. He's nodding his head. He's all upset over there. Joe's going to post the video, but, do yourself a favor. Okay. After you're finished feeding, burp the baby. That doesn't mean turn on all the lights. That doesn't mean, wake the baby completely up. It means get that little burp out, because that little air bubble, that it could be so easily expressed right after the feeding, and then your baby goes back down to sleep, is going to, if you don't get it out, it's going to pass into their intestines, and then it's going to cause them pain. And half an hour later, 45 minutes later, they're going to be awake and they're going to be screaming. And there's not that much you can do at that point than to get it to pass. It's going to have to go all the way through their intestines at that point, and it is going to hurt. Gas will hurt. So do yourself a favor, do your baby a favor, and get those burps out, and use my technique, because it'll make it much easier to get them out. It happens like that. It's quick and it doesn't wake them up. In fact, my technique of burping calms them. So it does get them it keeps them calm anyway. It doesn't prevent them from falling back asleep. So I just wanted to add that in there, because it's such a common thing to try, to just let them fall asleep at the breast and then think that's going to be bad.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? Because you just think, well, they're already asleep, and you want to be back to sleep as humanly possible, as quick as humanly possible, because you just want to get sleep. And then you're going to miss that step because, well, they're already asleep. pop them
Right.
down. But it means they're going to wake much sooner, much sooner than if you spend that few minutes getting that burp up and then putting them down.
Yep. And those few minutes will save you so much more. Well, actually, it's not going to keep you awake longer. It's going to help you to sleep a longer stretch, probably till the next feeding. So
yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Now, the next one is a fact that not all parents tell the truth about their baby's sleep. This is a good one. I like this one. Very good.
Yeah, no, they don't. There was a study done in the UK a few years ago, and a large percentage of mothers admitted to lying to their peers and their doctors about how their child is sleeping. So if you hear from somebody who's saying that, oh yeah, my 6-week-old is sleeping through the night, they're lying. They're lying. And this all comes from that it's a competition. It is, yes. Even from with a newborn. So many times when you have a baby, you hear from people very well-meaning, but are they a good sleeper? Oh, are they a good sleeper? And you sort of think, oh my God, are they good? I don't know. They're waking up loads. Well, that's for me, waking up 7 times a night is not good. That's not good for me. And so you just think that no. And so the opposite of good is bad. So then the alternate, you think, oh my God, I have a bad sleeper. Right. So we're already putting this onto it that's from birth. I remember the first time I heard it I was on the phone with my mom, and Isabel was about 6 hours old, and she said, "Oh, is she a good sleeper?" And hang on. Well, yeah, at the minute, because she was only born, like that was pretty tiring. So yeah, she's a great sleeper right now. But yeah, I'm not sure that's going to last, and it most certainly didn't. But yeah, so
it's such a good point too that it doesn't last. So first of all, you can't believe everything that your peers tell you about anything when it comes to their children. You don't know what goes on behind closed doors. So comparing yourself to that, it may not even be true. And at the same time, you may have a baby that was sleeping really well, and then all of a sudden they're not sleeping. That's a whole other thing, what's wrong? Why is the baby not a good sleeper anymore? The baby's just changed. And they do. Yeah. They go through growth spurts. They go through developmental stages. They go through changes. And right, those things are going to affect how they sleep.
Totally, yeah, totally. The fact how much they've eaten during the day, whether that's solids or whether that's milk. There's so many different things. Even down to there's somebody who's doing a study right now on the impact that the full moon has on our sleep. So even things like that can really, really impact sleep. And I always post on my Facebook page when we get a full moon, just warning people that tonight is a full moon. So some kids sleep great at the full moon. That's the only time they do sleep great. Others are just like, oh my gosh. So can be tricky. Even things like that, which are totally out of our control.
Yeah. Well, I want to just say, just to give context for tonight and this whole conversation, one of the things when Rebecca and I discussed doing this with you tonight as just the first of probably many, there's so much to talk about when it comes to sleep. And so this is just the first one to kind of set up what's normal. And we will do more together on, more specific things. But I thought it was really important, and we both felt this way, that it's very important to first spell out what are the normals around sleep, because so often the questions that do come in are the concern that something is not normal. And so we're not even answering the real question, which the question is that everything's fine. And you guys know what I'm talking about. Like when it comes to breastfeeding, this happens all the time. Why can I only pump 3 to 4 ounces? And I'm like, because that is the normal feeding. So it's about understanding the norms so that we can understand if our concerns are even an actual valid concern. And by talking about it this way, hopefully that's alleviating some of you thinking, oh, well, that is what my baby does, or that is how my baby sleeps. So I guess that is normal. And I see that this baby's different than my first, but that's normal. Or my friend's baby is sleeping through the night at 3 weeks old. That's not true. She's a liar. So hopefully that's helping you to feel more, have a better understanding of your own experience, and to feel more settled in what's happening in your house.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I just had to throw that in there because, I think that sometimes we think something's wrong when there's nothing actually wrong. And I always say during my consultations when that's happening, I'll listen very intently, I'll ask a lot of questions, and then I'll tell them, here's the good news. There's nothing wrong. You've called me, and that's a good thing. Okay, we'd rather that than there would be a real problem. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I do something very similar. I say, it's great. Your child is sleeping really, really normally. This is excellent to hear.
Yep. And it doesn't make it easy. And we're saying this here as two moms with older children who sleep through the night. And then they could all be sitting there saying, oh, that's easy for you guys to say. You forgot what that's like. I haven't, gotten more than 2 hours or 3 hours of sleep in months. What we're not saying that flippantly. We're not saying that, without compassion for what it feels like to feel sleep deprived, to feel like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can keep going without enough sleep. So we say this and we do the show with full compassion and understanding for what it is and how difficult life can be with a new baby. And yet how normal it is and how it will pass. It doesn't stay this way. And for all of you who think this can't be okay, it must be affecting my milk supply. It must be, making me a bad parent. It's not possible. That nature has it where babies don't sleep long periods. Moms obviously need to wake up with their babies, so moms are not sleeping for long periods of time, and yet somehow that's going to harm your health or affect your milk supply. It really doesn't very much, unless you're doing other things and you're not hydrating yourself or you're not feeding when they're awake. If you're delaying feedings, so maybe they're waking up to eat and you're saying, oh, you just ate. Let's wait. Okay, that can start to impact milk supply. So there's other things, but your baby will typically guide you into what you need for you and for your baby. Which brings up something I'd like to add as far as, that we're talking a lot about child sleep and baby sleep. And so just for a moment about your sleep, mom's sleep, okay? And wanting to get those, maybe that extra few hours of getting a little bit of sleep in. And you're going to want to sleep through the night. And these are the questions that come in that say, how do I pump enough so my husband can get up during the night and I can sleep through the feedings and get a couple good nights sleep? And my answer to that is the middle of the night feedings are probably not the right ones to eliminate. Okay, so if you want to get a few extra hours and you want to pump a little extra milk so that you can sleep through a feeding, and I'm talking beyond 6 weeks, not the first 6 weeks, but beyond that. The one that I would skip is the late evening. So you eat dinner, you have your dinner, you eat, you breastfeed the baby, you go down around 8 o'clock, you hand the baby off to dad and you go to bed. Okay, and so from 8 o'clock till about 2 a.m., you get that nice long stretch. Let dad feed the baby at that late night feeding, and you skip that one versus the 2 or the 3 o'clock in the morning one, because those middle of the night feedings are super important for your supply, for your prolactin levels. You're going to be very engorged in the morning if you try to sleep through the night, which can lead to mastitis and plugged ducts and all kinds of other issues. And the amount that you make and the prolactin levels during the night actually drive the levels during the day. And so all your milk supply can be affected. So that's probably the one that I would recommend, is that late night feeding. Plus,
I would recommend that as well.
Yeah.
Because that's when it's actually easier for your child to get back to sleep as well. So it's easier for them. And so then if you are having another carer who's going to be giving some pump milk at that time, we want it to be easy for your child to get back to sleep. And that's when it's easier, the earlier part of the night, because they're come from a deep sleep. They're much drowsier and it's easier for them to get back to sleep.
Yes. No, that's great. I think that, that it can be hard because sometimes you want to have that time to yourself. You don't want to go to sleep at that time, but you take your sleep as much, however you can get it. And those, those good 4-hour stretches can do a lot for your well-being and your health. So if you can get
you feel like you slept for a week if you get a 4-hour stretch.
Exactly. Let's get some hearts and mommy love for all the moms who are not sleeping through their night right now. Because if I could give you hearts, I would give you hearts. Joe, give them hearts for me, okay? I'm giving you my love because I know how hard it is. My daughter, my second one especially, really just did not sleep, and I knew so little with her. Honestly, I was a midwife. I was delivering babies. I was a nurse. I had been taking care of moms for years and years and years. And there I was with a baby, and I didn't know what to do with her. And so if any of you guys are feeling inadequate, like you didn't know what to do, trust me, here I was with all this information and knowledge, and I still didn't know what to do either. So we have much compassion for you and understanding for what you're going through. And hopefully this gives you some ideas of what you can do tonight. Like right now is when you would want to be sleeping.
Yes.
But don't go to sleep. We're not done. Okay. The next one is myth. I should never wake a sleeping baby.
Now, this is a tough one. This one is a tough one because you will certainly hear both sides that no, you never ever wake a sleeping baby, or oh my gosh, you should wake a sleeping baby. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got their own opinion about this. Now, I think there are certainly times you should wake a sleeping baby. And there are times when you do not wake a sleeping baby.
Right.
And so it really depends on where you are. Now, if you have a newborn and they are going a very long stretch of sleep, wake them to feed them. If they go straight back to sleep after the feed, that's completely fine. Yes. But I think establishing the feeding is super important, because if they're going those really long stretches, then they're not going to really have the energy, because they've gone a really long stretch, to be able to feed efficiently when they do wake. Yes. So I would wake to feed in the real early days. And as well, if your pediatrician obviously says you should be waking to feed, then most certainly you should be waking them through the night to feed. But if you have an 8-month-old, no, you don't need to necessarily be waking them to feed, because the feeding is completely established there. So it really depends on the age and the stage as whether you should be waking a sleeping baby or not.
Yes. And that's when the questions will start with, I recently posted this myth as a graphic and a write-up on my Facebook wall, and the questions that were coming in were very subtle. What do you consider a newborn? Is my 3-month-old, would they still be considered a newborn? And so again, like Rebecca said, it's not one straight answer for everybody. What I would say to you is this, that, the first 6 weeks, most babies will not be sleeping through the night. If they're sleeping through the night, you're probably going to be more engorged. It's probably not a great idea. I would probably let them go maybe 2 to 3 hours during the day, and as much as 3 to 4 hours at night, if that's what they do. Now, I'm talking about that as a max. I'm not saying if they wake up after 2 hours, that's what you got, and then you're going to feed the baby every 2 hours, or it might be an hour and a half. It depends on the baby. It depends on what they're taking in at a feeding. But no more than 3 to 4 hours at night in those first 6 weeks. The reason I say that is those 6 weeks, you're really establishing your milk supply. And so as much for you and you might have a lot of milk and the baby may be getting a lot, but they need to be eating frequently to keep the milk draining, to keep the milk making, the supply going. And so that beginning time, I would wake the baby. After that, if your milk supply has been established, if the baby's eating really well during the day, if the baby's gained lots of weight and they're peeing and they're pooping and everything's really doing well, and they've got lots of subcutaneous fat on their body and everything's happy and healthy, and you've got a baby that sleeps through the night, you know what? You got a baby who sleeps through the night for now. It might not stay like that, but while you got it, go for it. It's okay. That's okay at that point. And that's where we say it's a gray area. It's not like a real hard line of here's the week where the baby can and can't. You have to take it based on your baby and figure out, is your baby doing well? Are they getting enough milk during the day that they are sleeping through the night? And if they are, then that's fine. You might still decide to wake up even though the baby's asleep and do a little pumping, just get a little bit out during the night. You might be too uncomfortable. Your breasts might not be able to sleep through the night. Everybody wants to sleep except your breasts. You're saying, hey, what about me? And you might need to get up and pump a little, and that'll be great for your freezer stash or that little bit of extra milk that, you'll put away. Or you may be able to start training your body to make it through the night without getting up. And ultimately, that is the goal, to be on your baby's schedule so that when your baby's sleeping, you're sleeping. And like Rebecca said, you have an 8-month-old who's sleeping through the night, you're able to sleep through the night too. So, remember that if you keep a lot of pumping going when your baby's sleeping, your body will not be in sync with the baby. And so everyone's sleeping and you're awake. So it's sort of a little bit of a balancing act you need to do there. Hearts, anyone? Let's get some hearts going across the screen. Awesome. Are you guys learning stuff tonight? I want to know. Are you loving this? Do you want more? We do have one more. And then we have what I want to see from all of you in the chat room is I want you to be posting the topics that you want to hear about. Okay. If you want Rebecca to come back, if you want us to do more topics together, we want to hear about it because we have a lot to offer. I can tell just from doing this with you one time, it's just so clear that how sleeping and feeding just go so hand in hand together. And when you're a new mom and you've got a baby, it's really all you're dealing with is sleeping or feeding.
Yeah, that's exactly what newborns are doing. That's all they do, and they poop. But that's all they do is just sleep, feed, and poop, and it's just repeat. They have no idea what's daytime. They have no idea what's nighttime. It's just all a nap, and it just happens all 24/7.
Absolutely. It almost feels like, the conversations when we talk about breastfeeding or we talk about sleep, it's like doing them together is perfect because covering the aspect of sleep and covering the aspect of feeding together, it's so they just cross over. One is dependent on the other. One is just
completely. Yeah, no one's sleeping if they're hungry. No one.
Exactly. Okay, so let's go on to the last myth here. The last myth is sleep training means I need to leave my child to cry. And we started to talk about this earlier on in the beginning of the conversation, but let's talk about it now.
No, so whenever we think about sleep training, a lot of the time we think about leaving your child to cry. And that's not really what sleep training necessarily is. There are many, many different techniques out there, just leaving your child to cry. And though I don't use cried out, I do understand it works great for a lot of families. It really, really does. There's a lot of families that it doesn't work for. And who the cried out doesn't work for that child because of their temperament. And we talked a little bit about that earlier. So cried out doesn't work for their temperament, or it's just something that the families are not really comfortable doing. And so there are more hands-on gentle techniques which involve lots of picking up, lots of putting down, lots of soothing. So I have my own technique called the Mickey method, which is you pick your child up whenever you feel that you need to pick your child up. And we talked about this earlier about that instinct. And you know when you need to pick your child up because you know your child better than absolutely anybody. And so if you feel that now they're needing a bit of help, you pick your child up and you soothe them however you need to soothe them. Again, that's completely unique to every single family. But there's actually so much we can do to be getting some better sleep without even needing to do any sleep training. Then we can almost, with an older child who's over 6 months, we can almost half nighttime wake-ups by working on other things. So if you have a child who's waking 8 times a night, who's 7 months old, we can work on our routines. We can work on getting those naps. That's something we talked about earlier as well, is getting the best quality sleep during the day will lead to the best quality sleep at nighttime. So there is actually so much that you can do without having to do any sleep training to be getting a better night's sleep. So no, sleep training does not always mean leaving your child to cry. It most certainly doesn't. But I fully understand it really does work for a lot of children and for a lot of families.
Yeah. And if you're thinking about doing that, it would not be till they're older. I mean, I wouldn't even consider something like that. And even when you do, it's not just leaving them to cry. I would never endorse just leaving a baby to cry, but the idea, and I could say that I actually did practice something like that with my children. They were about, I want to say 11 months old. And
I would say over 9 months, I think, is a good time to get started.
10 or 11 months, I had babies that would just, especially my second, but both of them, that, would cry during the night. They were not hungry. It was just this routine that we were in where I knew because as soon as I was a nurse, they would be like falling asleep. They got into this habit and I thought, okay, and especially with my second one, I thought it's never going to work, but what I wound up doing was just going into their room when they would cry and not picking them up. But, they're standing at their crib at that point, and I would walk over and I would just hug them, and they're trying to lift their legs off to like climb onto me, and I'm just, not picking them up, and just getting them to understand that, no, we're not going to do that anymore right now. You need to go to sleep now, and just reinforcing back to sleep. And and again, it's perfect what you said, Rebecca, because that was just my instinct. It was not because I read it in a book. It was not some particular method that I followed. It was just, I'm done. I know they're done. I know this is not because of hunger. We've gotten past that point now. And now it's just a habit that we need to change. And the only way to change a habit is to start doing something else.
Yes, exactly.
And it worked. And it really didn't take very long. It took about 2 nights. Yeah. And then when they realized they weren't being picked up, they said, well, that's not worth it. And they decided to just sleep and not get up anymore.
That's exactly it. I did something very similar with my eldest. I think she was about 7 months old, and I was actually pregnant with my youngest. And in the early pregnancy stage, where you just, you wake up in the night and you're just like, I just can't get up. Yeah. And she was just kind of really lightly fussing in bed. She wasn't really screaming, but I'd been getting up and feeding her. And then I was just like, well, she's just fussing. I'm just going to stay in bed as long as I possibly can before I have to get up. Yeah. And she just went back to sleep.
She went back to sleep.
Oh, okay. Okay. You didn't need that at all then.
That's very different than cry it out, where you have a baby that just is crying, and very young babies can feel that they feel abandoned. It's not good for them to be crying like that. When they're crying, babies cannot be spoiled. They're not manipulating you. And I always say this, a young baby who's crying to be held or to be fed or to be comforted, they're not doing it to manipulate you. It's not a bad habit. It's not a spoiled baby. It's none of that. What they're telling you, they have one way of communicating their needs, and that's to cry. And they're testing their environment. They are looking to see if they're secure, if they're safe. You are their whole world. And, when they cry, you want to respond, because you want to teach your baby from a very young age that they can count on you, that you are available to them, that
you will be there for them,
that they're secure. Their security depends on that. And that's why babies cry. That is why they cry. So
exactly.
And it's also why, as a mom, you have that reaction to your baby's cry. And you know what I'm talking about? Like where, the baby's crying and you can't hear anything else. Like someone's trying to talk to you, your baby's crying, and your body's in this hyperreactive state where you cannot take the sound of your own baby's cry. And this doesn't happen so much for dads. I have to say, it doesn't happen in dads. Do you guys, let's get some hearts if you know what I'm talking about, that feeling of like complete uneasiness when you hear your own baby crying, that you need to do something about it. That is the inborn instinct to respond. It's not anxiety. It's not something wrong that you feel that way. It's actually something very right. It means that you are having the right appropriate reaction to your baby's cry. Your body was meant to do that. That's why it works so well. The baby cries. You can't pay attention to anything else but your baby, and your only desire is to get that to stop.
Yes. Yeah. And it's just goes into so many things that we've already addressed with our instinct. It just really, really does. And we shouldn't, and there's different levels of crying, of course.
Yes.
But if it gets to that big urgent cry, I call it the mummy, I need you now cry. It's kind of game over. Nobody is soothing. Nobody is getting themselves back to sleep after that. And when I'm talking with families, I say that it's just like you're being chased by a bear, and you're running and you're being chased by this bear, and you find a cabin and you get yourself in the cabin and you lock the door. You don't just then think, oh, I'm going to take a nap. That adrenaline's going, you may not sleep that entire night because you're just panicking. When your child gets to that really big urgent cry, that mummy, I need you now cry, exactly the same response has been triggered. The fight or flight has been triggered. They're panicking then at that point. So they're not going to sleep. So there are totally different levels of crying, that fussy, whiny, and then it gets up to a bit more angry, quite angry. And then it's that urgent mummy, I need you now cry that kind of makes you jump out of bed before you're even awake. That is the cry that we should never, ever ignore, because that is when your child is really asking for help. And that's when you want to be there responding and helping them.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever age. I mean, you would do the same with your kids now.
Absolutely.
If you just jump and you just go, and it's just, you don't ever want to ignore that instinct that you have to do that. If you feel you need to be helping your child, that's the exact point you need to be helping a child. It's very different as you say, it's different between parents, very different between parents, and it's different between different children. But so it may take one child 2 seconds to get to an urgent cry. It may take another 20 minutes to get to an urgent cry. And it's whatever is normal for that child. A lot of it is to do with their temperament. But as long as you don't ever make yourself feel uncomfortable, you go to your child, you respond, and you help them whenever you need to. You can't go wrong. You really, really can't go wrong. You're bringing up really secure, attached children. And that's what we want for our children, is to be feeling secure within the family unit.
Absolutely. Such a good point, and so well said. I love that. And I feel like, it brings it full circle back to your very first comment of the night, which is to follow your instincts. And that is the feeling inside of you. And so what you just described is perfectly that, which is, that feeling that's saying, this is the part, this is the urgentness. This is what feels right. It does not feel right not to listen to this. Follow that, and you cannot go wrong. You just cannot go
really
wrong.
Can't. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And also the same cries where they're fine. They're actually fine. We know that. We know those cries too, where we're like, yep. And of course we're talking about older children, but that feeling of baby's crying and I know what it is, or my child is crying and they're really okay. That too is an instinct to say, because you know better than anyone as a mother. So fantastic. So you guys, did you guys have a good night? Did you learn something tonight? I hope so. I hope you got a ton out of this. We gave you tons of information. Rebecca, thank you so much for being here with us. And everybody go over to Rebecca's page, like her page, follow her over there. The link is right here in where are we? It will be, I don't know where it's going to be, but it's going to be in the post that you can click right over to like her page and follow her. And same with Naturepedic. Make sure that you're going over to enter that giveaway. And tonight, make sure you are loving this post, that you are commenting here. Make sure you like the post. Okay, you have to do that because we're going to give away 2 winners. Remember, let's review what the prize is tonight. It's the organic PLA pillow sets, and I say that plural. Okay, 2 sets. Of 2 of the adult size and 1 toddler. So we'll have 2 winners that will each get 3 pillows. Okay, that's great. All right, so pillows for the whole family. Thank you so much, Rebecca, and thank you guys, and thank you, Joe, and thank you, Naturepedic. We love you guys. Have a wonderful night, and meet me back here Sunday night. It's our next Q&A. It is pumping facts and myths. It just happens to come, the whole weekend's going to be facts and myths this weekend. But I have pumping myths and facts this weekend, Sunday night at 9 p.m. And I look forward to seeing all of you guys. We're going to be giving away some breast pumps. So you definitely want to join us for that. Okay. Have a good night, Rebecca. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.